Hey, I'm Krista.
Hey, I'm Micah. And we are bad people with good things to say.
This is a podcast that seeks to challenge black and white thinking
And wrestle through the grey.
to risk evolving through conversation.
Because there's always more to learn.
So in this episode, we are going to talk through what season 3 is going to look like, because we've made it to season 3.
We have.
I know, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And this is
episode
20, which they say in podcasting metrics is kind of the place where not a lot of people get to.
Yeah.
Even though
produce 20 episodes.
Yeah, which is like nothing when you think about it, when, the big podcasters are on, goodness gracious. Hundreds. But
actually, some of them are not, though. It's kind of inspiring. Some,
I guess, yes.
But yeah, some have multiple seasons,
I know.
11 seasons, and who knows?
It's true. And it's funny because I think for us to get to this point it's been an endeavor, right?
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think something that we wanted to kind of do in this episode is to sort of maybe talk through a bit of expectations, or maybe who or how we've sort of decided to cultivate this space. And I think first and foremost, we kind of want to say, and we have said before, that we are artists first and foremost. That's how we view ourselves, and that our medium just happens to be podcasting.
Yeah.
So we've sort of looked at this it's we're uncovering something, we're collaging or putting a puzzle together, kind of where you're flipping over pieces and you're trying to see what fits, but more in an artistic way.
Yeah. I know. I feel for me, artist just means you express.
Yes.
And for me, I think that's become a bit more of a way of life, just to
getting
express.
It out. Totally. And I mean, I
express
always love
inner world on the outside somehow, or emotions, feelings, expressing that some way. Yeah.
And I think we've said before that we love, I think somebody was quoted saying the opposite of depression isn't joy, but it's expression. And so I think we've both found
that's
a lot
cool
of
thought.
Right? Yeah. I think we both find that to be true, that we've gotten through some hard times. I mean, used to do a lot of just personal journaling that you would then share on social media.
Yeah.
And so that's also another reason why we care about being in this sphere of the online world.
Yeah.
Because it's actually been really beneficial for the both of us.
Yeah. Found a lot of positive things in the online space.
Yeah. Whether it's community or new thoughts or
new ideas, inspiration, there's a lot of new stuff.
Yes.
Which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And cool to engage with.
Yeah. And I think we've said again also that we care deeply about truth. And I mean, that's an interesting concept, but we care about just sharing things as they are and being vulnerable as much as we're able to about our own lives and our own experiences and point of view. I mean, that's something we were just talking about, that being two females, we think that our point of view matters, and just talking about how we share knowledge in this world and what is deemed to be
knowledge,
exactly, and how things are how people are educated and things like that. And knowledge, I mean, you just said knowledge is power. And so for us, I think do you want to share about what feminist sort of views are on that?
Yeah, we were just chatting a little about feminist research methods, and which I learned about these in my first semester, or just this past semester, and the method had some really cool points in our lecture where we were learning about feminist research methods. A few things kind of just stuck out to me that I thought were really cool. And one of them is a couple questions that my lecturer was kind of just saying, this is sort of what concerns feminist research methods or what they revolve around. And one of them is, firstly, what counts as knowledge?
Right.
So, what do we even consider knowledge?
Right. Yes.
It's a good question to think about.
It definitely.
And then who gets to produce that knowledge?
Right.
Because often what I would think about when I think knowledge is I immediately sort of link that to education.
Yes.
And
yes.
expertise.
Yep.
People who are, well studied, who are experts in their field or who have knowledge about some specific topic that is there. And then the more casual, like everyday generic knowledge of like your knowledge of your own
Street
life and
smarts, kind of.
experience.
Yeah. Yes.
How chickens lay eggs,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
I know some about that, right? Yes.
Yeah. But then I think what feminist research methods kind of call for, I guess, looking to, or that inspire me is what are the power, just talking about like what are the power dynamics between researcher and subject, because often we get the finished product of like the research or the knowledge that gets, but we don't really necessarily know or think much about how that was produced or where that came from.
Yeah. We just trust the source.
Right.
Yeah.
The studies that were done or interviews that were done to gain that knowledge and what the power dynamics were between researcher and subject, and
like who funded the study.
Right.
Are they
who
trying?
was selected in the sample? Like all these things kind of do
stakes?
matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like these days we're much more like cognizant of like the scientific method, right? And that can often be sort of anything with the science label on it, or it's easy to sort of just trust that inherently,
right?
Or take it as gospel. But I think we've always been curious on this in our podcast about like peeling back layers and examining things more closely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing to be aware of, is like, how knowledge that you're consuming is being produced,
right?
Who it's being produced by, and even people who are influencing you, like, I don't know how they have come to know what they know.
Yes.
It's just always interesting, and I think a good exercise to be aware of those things.
For sure. And I think that, I mean, one of the things that we said in our last episode was this desire to like flatten hierarchy, just to sort of take back our own sense of self and the power that we have, and even understanding like how, if we're always outsourcing, like, oh, I need some sort of external proof in order to like for how I live my life, or what
to validate me, or
exactly, right? Yeah, then going like, right, then your own personal experience doesn't matter as much, and then sharing that wisdom and knowledge with other folk, you might not be so inclined to. And I think something that's really great from you that you've said is like you can learn from everybody.
Yeah,
and that's something that we're choosing to exercise here.
Yes.
Is to go, well, no, two females with a perspective, actually that matters. And not to say that our perspective matters more than anyone else's. It's just equally as such. And that anybody who feels like they have something to say, like, please, like, do so. Like, exercise your voice in this world, because it's important. And so we're choosing to do that. And also really trying to lean into this the sense of like, the empirical data that we're gaining from just going out and living our lives as mothers or as partners, or I don't know, in the workforce or whatever
people
that is
in the world,
right? That we're able to see where there's like either like that idea of like pattern recognition, like, oh, right, this same thing occurs in these different spaces, or we're just trading like one set of ideas around certainty for like another set or something. And then as you do that, you're able to kind of maybe even see like your weaknesses and blind spots as well. And so I think that's one of the beautiful things about podcasting, that we're unafraid to risk looking foolish or going like, oh, that didn't come off right, and kind of even, because that exposes your blind spots. It exposes your weaknesses to then go like, oh there's some work that needs to be done here.
Right. And I think not afraid of having our perspective changed, or to know that we come to these conversations with the knowledge that we have now, and the experience that we have now. But it's likely to change, and it's likely to, because like we said, there's always more to learn. And so I think we're committed to that. Constant learning, but so much can happen through conversation and dialogue, and even more so when like listeners weigh in and into these conversations too. We're all about that. But we just we really enjoy having conversations, and we love just talking about all manner of stuff.
Definitely.
I'm a little more I have a philosophical bent, I think. And what would you say because you've always like talking about deep things, or
I feel like I always lean into, like, it seems like I have a bend towards like the justice pieces, but I feel like you don't really understand, like, for one, justice is so linked to truth. And so I think just speaking about things as they are and trying to find the truest form of said things without the agenda or like oh, we're going to make this look a certain way to protect certain people.
Optics.
I think just like that storytelling and the like admission of how things actually are is so important to me, because that's where justice lies. And because you might not get like, you know, where like somebody's punished or where like the thing is just like righted, but actually just knowing the truth can be enough, you know, even just for yourself. And I think that's an exercise where maybe no one else will even agree with you and your version of what has happened or how you've landed in a certain spot, but that might just be enough in itself for yourself.
Right. And we've kind of always, I still believe in this, that the practice of just using your voice is important.
It is.
And sometimes when justice doesn't happen, like there is in a sense a form of like justice you can have for yourself when you can just talk about your own struggles and experiences
and not have to be validated by anyone else. I think that's helpful.
Right. Yeah. And admit to yourself what they are, what happened.
Yeah.
And even that is powerful in a sense for bringing some kind of internal justice.
And even just if you have been ever vulnerable in the past, or you've seen your own error, like, because we talk about that not everybody is just a villain or just the hero, right? And so even to go like, where in your own place, even if great injustice has occurred, where have you contributed to that? Even just in that you can then take yourself, like maybe you have been completely victimized, but you can, by being there, has allowed that. And so I'm not trying to say that you've allowed injustice to occur, but that there is an action, then you can get out of that. You can leave that so that the injustice doesn't continue to keep happening. And that can be exhausting for some folks, because it
can. It's a lot of work.
It is. But I think that's like, again, part of the expectation here is that there's risk involved in this when you are really vulnerable, and that it's hard work, and that this doesn't have a lot to do with like comfort. I think that's always in what seems to happen with we always talk about the name of this podcast, and that seems to always make people feel uncomfortable, whatever that feeling might be. And so that just continues to be something we value, is to like work through the emotions and the triggers that are brought to the surface when you're having hard conversations. Our humanness. Yes. It's funny because we both have taken to physical exercise quite a bit, which we post a little bit on. And just also that idea that when you exercise and do hard things, you also become aware of where your weaknesses lie.
Right.
And where maybe there's more exercise or more awareness or more like, oh, I need to tend to this area a little bit more.
Oh, I'm weak there.
And gently so, right? You don't just come in guns blazing with like the heaviest weight possible.
You got to work your way towards it.
And compassion.
Build muscle.
Totally. Compassion for the awareness around like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Like there's no shame in that.
And I think I think these things we're saying, like artists, truth, justice, like I think to an extent, these are facets that we probably all care about.
Definitely.
And most, I mean, like even I think everyone can be an artist. In the sense that if it's just expression,
1,000%.
Right. Like everyone has that capacity to express truth. I mean, most people I know just want truth, right?
They do. They want to know where they can land. That's kind of foundational, where they want to know that what they're standing on is going to hold them, right?
And also justice. Like I think we all sort of want that. We want to be able to treat each other well and with respect. And I think maybe we're all at these times right now feels like there is a lot of sort of facade. There is a lot of stuff being done for just optics and just
like
for
the
clicks.
manipulation.
Yeah,
and
for the
yeah,
clicks,
fair,
the likes,
true,
all the, you know, the rapport and the, I don't know, fame.
Yes.
And that's not what it's about for us. It's like seeing these collective, our collective things that we as humans and people who are drawn to like community, trying to identify those things, that we all sort of crave and want to participate in, and trying to attempt conversations about how we do that and how we conduct ourselves in the world.
And creating like safe places because sometimes you can't have hard conversations with the people that you need to have the conversations with. Maybe it's because it threatens belonging or
it's not always possible.
Totally, right? And then how do you still engage in those kind of like getting the thoughts out of just what's going around in your mind and that rumination. And so we hope that this is kind of like one of those places where we can talk about some bad things, where we can talk about our shadow side and, you know, our
things that scare us.
Totally, right? And peer behind the veil a little and go like, is there really like that boogeyman behind that thing? Or is it something else? And again, because we live in the binary, like we were just saying, like the expectation outside our, you know, the safety of our home is that there is a black and white world out there that sometimes wants to, you know, vilify folk and cancel them just for having like the wrong opinion or being curious about something or just assumptions, right? Yeah. And here we really want to try and go like, well, no, we I think inherently all understand that there is a lot more going on and there's a lot of complexities that would drive certain people to do certain things. And so how do we kind of like navigate that? Well.
Right.
And
and I was thinking that I feel like that is a bit of a funny thing to this whole like, because you know how it feels so polarized and so like it's so high stakes to say certain things at this time in history. But I think even as I've gotten out more like through school and just being out in the world, like I feel like that sort of shared feeling is shared, and sometimes by sharing it without saying anything, this unspoken sort of assumption that we're all making is that it's like, this is the way it is, that is therefore the way it is.
Right.
But like the more I've spoken to people and actually got into conversations and stuff, like I think for the most part, most people do realize the nuance and like recognize that life isn't, you know, black and white. But like, I think
it takes this more so like it's maybe off the gate. This is where I think I see is like right upon introduction possibly to someone, or you're getting into the topic and typically like the stakes feel higher because you're like, oh no, like everything's at risk here and you know, our basic human rights or, you know, democracy or these big things kind of get triggered in the beginning parts of a conversation, let's say, or debate or whatever. And it's like, no, the more you kind of suss it out, the more you're like, oh wait, actually we're way more aligned than we ever thought we would be. Totally. I think that's kind of human nature is like, oh right, none of us hold to these things that tightly once we actually start humanizing the other person.
And in some cases, I think maybe sometimes like with the media involved and politics, like that can be created, that narrative that like, you know, and used to the advantage of a select few, that everything is polarized and and then I don't know, it's just interesting. It's hard to know sometimes in these times what's real and what to trust, and but also that's why like talking we
matters,
and again, effective.
And I think that this season in particular, we're going to lean into kind of the trying to bring education for we were saying it's kind of like we'll take these topics for dummies kind of idea where we have done some research ourselves on certain topics.
We're going to put more effort into specific subjects.
We're
researching them and
like where we had people last season coming on and sharing their stories more, and possibly were maybe experts in their experience, because they'd gone through some challenging things.
Or just had a passion for a certain
for
topic or subject. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And then this season, we're sort of taking specific topics and again trying to tackle them, because they're kind of like hot topics, in less of a like, oh, this is bad, and we're just going to continue to perpetuate stereotypes or, pigeonhole things, but rather try to be compassionate in our...
Just explore.
Exactly, right? And kind of go like, oh, this is... Of course these things exist, and, we don't need to
what do we do with them?
and the fear, right, that we as humans typically go, oh, that's bad and wrong, and oh my goodness, how could that be? And then the fear response would just, again, throw... It just is too, like that instinct to just like run away.
Reflexive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, again, we've talked a lot about like the nervous system response to like the fight, fear, like the fear response of like the fight, flight, fawn or freeze responses. And none of that involves critical thinking, which is another expectation you should have when you come here, is that we care a lot about critical thinking, and that does not mean that we're going to shoulder the burden like onto someone else, but that is something that each person should care deeply about, educating their own selves so that they could talk in a robust way about things that like affect them or affect other people,
right?
Or
but
minority groups, or whatever.
And I think we want to sort of like, we are critical thinking, I guess, happens through conversation.
Yes.
It's honed through conversation and through exposure to many different ideas and discussing them, dissecting them. Because if you've ever only got one sort of narrative, then there's nothing to really put it up against or see if it stands up to scrutiny.
Yes.
So having a vast range of opinions and reading even the opposing side of a belief or a worldview or a perspective, I think is a really good practice. And we want to attempt to do that ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that just brings a lot more, I don't know, just conversations feel productive, and I don't know, I just enjoy also hearing different ideas.
It's nice to go, oh, that actually is something I want to think about. I want to think in a way that is not so thought ending, like with the simplistic answer to a large problem.
Yes.
But to really kind of like sit on it, marinate in it, and go like, okay, maybe it's as simple as X, Y, or Z, or maybe it's just... it's going to take time. Right.
And I think maybe this comes out of, for us, that we have sort of a direct link to personal experience there, where we maybe did look at the world a very black and white way for a long time, and saw it through one single lens. And then that, for different reasons and through different experiences, was sort of blown apart for us. And so now, my curiosity with looking at different ideas and just learning everything and anything comes from that, sort of just, I guess, feeling just like a singular world view or explanation was a bit too simplistic, and that there's reality is a bit more complex.
Yes. So we hope that you tune in. We are excited for the different topics. And I think out of the gate, here's a little plug for our second episode will be, do you want to share what it actually is? Yeah.
We'll be talking about cults.
Yes. And so,
that just what those are, and linking them a little bit to some of the experiences we've had.
Yes.
But all the topics this season are those kinds of things that I think maybe initially sort of have a negative connotation, or
I mean, we're definitely staying on theme with like the bad topics. And kind of, again, trying to just go like, is that all that it is? It's just a bad thing that we want to avoid.
Or are these more complicated and
exactly. And where
do they play out in life?
Totally. And kind of going again, the Maya Angelou thought that if a human has done it, then it is possible for all humans. And when I think of myself and my own blind spots, thinking and deluding myself to go, that is never possible for me to do.
Yeah, I could never.
Right? Is probably like one of those things that it's not like a regret necessarily because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But it was it caused a huge blind spot for me. And I think going like, right, we are all capable of incredible good and incredible harm.
Totally.
And to see, I guess, the humanity behind some hard topics.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't excuse behavior, but understanding can also evoke change.
Yeah.
And then to go, right, either if you find yourself in a difficult circumstance, relationship, group, then there is something that can be done to either identify or to leave, change. Said circumstance.
Yeah.
So we're excited to delve into this stuff. And
we are. And we want to bring a little bit more levity as well in the mix of
we keep trying to laugh, and then,
well, I was going to say to you, we challenge black and white thinking.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about the binary, like we're all incredibly good and all incredibly bad. Yeah. And if we're going to be true to our challenge black and white there, we also can all be pretty mediocre as well. On the in between.
Yeah. Where you don't really.
We do some good, we do some bad, and we do some pretty average shit.
Yeah, exactly. Which you can expect that here. Pretty average shit all the way.
Which is human, right?
Yes. Yeah. I love it.
The spectrum.
Yes. Yeah. Which again, you'll hear that word a lot because it's never all one thing. And that's
what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us. Welcome to season 3, and we'll see you when we see ya.
See ya.
Bye.